Tonight, a bombshell announcement in Ottawa could lead to a surprise election.
Today, I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement.
I really hope the NDP stays focused on how we can deliver for Canadians, as we have over the past years, rather than focusing on politics.
The NDP caught Justin Trudeau off guard, pulling support for the Prime Minister while on a stop in Rocky Harbour.
Motorists have been asking, why has the pace of progress on the Galway Interchange project been so leisurely this construction season? Well, I dug into it, and I'll have the answer coming up.
Some schools this year will see a new staff member tasked with a brand new role.
They'll be making connections with students and fostering behavioral management skills.
I'm Arlette Lazarenko, and I'll tell you more about what the Education Department is going to do to make schools safer. That's coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Apologies for the delay. We were preempted by the women's wheelchair basketball game tonight in Paris. Congratulations to Team Canada, who beat Germany 71-53. Now, we're still a full hour of news and weather, so let's get to our top story. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on the ground in Rocky Harbour today was hit with a bombshell.
Today, I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement. Canadians are fighting a battle for the future of the middle class. Justin Trudeau has proven again and again he will always cave to corporate greed. The Liberals have let people down. They don't deserve another chance. There is an even bigger battle ahead. The threat of Pierre Poilievre and conservative cuts.
Well, it's part of a video released just a few hours ago by NDP leader Jagmeet Singh announcing he's ending the supply and confidence agreement with the federal Liberals. The NDP signed the deal in 2022, agreeing to support the Liberal government on confidence votes until June 2025. Now, killing the deal doesn't mean there will be an earlier election. It puts the Liberals on shaky ground. The NDP says the move has been in the works for 2 weeks, but sources tell the CBC the party didn't inform the Prime Minister's office until this afternoon, just before he answered questions from reporters here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
You no longer have the support of the NDP. Your party is trailing in the polls and the Conservatives are calling for an election. Is it time to send Canadians to the polls?
We're here today because we're delivering on school lunches and school food for thousands of kids across the province, and we're making investments that are going to be helping hundreds of thousands of kids across the country as people step up. These are the kinds of things that Canadians are looking for. As I traveled across the country this summer, people talk to me about making ends meet. They talk to me about the high cost of rent and the need for more housing. They talk to me about the environment and climate change and the impacts of it. And these are the things that we're focused on. I'll let others focus on politics, but I will point out that I really hope the NDP stays focused on how we can deliver for Canadians, as we have over the past years, rather than focusing on politics.
Well, in other news, according to police, a 36-year-old man in St. John's was stabbed, kidnapped, and the victim of a break-in, all within 48 hours. Now, it's a bit of a tangly tale. It began with a stabbing on Le Marchant Road on Sunday. A 39-year-old man was arrested, and a 36-year-old man was taken to hospital. During the suspect's arrest, police seized a handgun, more than 600 grams of cocaine, and other drug trafficking materials. A further search turned up body armor, pellet guns, ammunition, and more drugs. Now, that man is facing a dozen charges. The RNC says on Monday, the stabbing victim reported that someone else had broken into his home. Police say during that break-in, the victim was kidnapped. A 45-year-old man has been arrested as a result of that incident. Police told reporters today that it's all related.
Yeah, so I did mention that it was the same man who was injured on Sunday and did come to RNC to report a break-in on Monday, which resulted in additional charges on a 45-year-old man. So while we aren't disclosing the relationship between the complainant there and those accused, we of course do believe there was a link between these two separate responses by police. These events are believed to be connected.
Well, a former manager at a high-profile prisoners advocacy organization has been cleared of extortion. Rod Harris was accused of threatening to fail the complainant's urine test if he didn't provide Harris with sexual gratification, according to court documents. Harris was formerly the second in command at the provincial chapter of the John Howard Society. He was charged with extortion for the alleged incident, which happened in June 2021 while Harris was managing a halfway house in St. John's. But the extortion charge was dismissed. The complainant in the case failed to show up at the trial to testify. It's a high-profile road construction project in eastern Newfoundland, but for many weeks this summer, very little was happening with the Galway interchange on the Trans-Canada Highway. But as Terry Roberts reports, government says the multi-million-dollar project will soon be complete.
Cement was flowing today on the Galway interchange. Positive signs that this high-profile road project is back on track. Not to worry, says the Transportation Minister. The flow of traffic in a very busy area of the Avalon Peninsula will soon be much smoother. And he says it's on budget at just over $10 million.
They're continuing full steam ahead. We're hoping to have that road open and finished by the late fall of this year.
Farrell's Excavating has the contract for the interchange, which will improve the flow of traffic in and out of the Galway development and ease congestion on Pitts Memorial Drive. It's a unique circumstance. Farrell's business is located a stone's throw from the project. The contractor made some big progress on the interchange last year. That's despite a bitter feud with a neighboring construction company that led to this dramatic scene in which a backhoe was used to tear down a security gate. For weeks this year, the site was quiet. Contractor Billy Farrell, who was outspoken during last year's controversy, has also been low-key. But the minister downplays any talk of a rift.
They're hustling as quickly as they can. We got a great relationship with this contractor.
Hutton says there was some back and forth with the contractor this year. A special bridge liner, for example, was leaking.
When you're dealing with huge contracts and so many of them, there are going to be issues. Farrell's, they've got a great team. We've got a great team here at Transportation and Infrastructure. When any problem comes up with this contractor or anyone, we work through them.
Passing motorists have barely noticed, however, because they can speed by the site along this impressive 4-lane diversion, which will eventually be removed when the overpass, ramps, and a new roundabout are eventually complete. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
It is a big day for students, families, and teachers alike. It is the first day of school, and we'll bring you to Newtown Elementary here in Mount Pearl with all of the action coming up.
The progressive conservative education critic Paul Dinn says he's outraged with the premier. On Tuesday, Andrew Furey was asked about the progress of new schools in Kenmount Terrace and Paradise and said the opposition was playing politics. Dinn says his constituents just want answers.
You get outraged when the premier of this province gets up in front of the cameras and calls myself and the parents out for playing politics and telling us that planning is making progress, they're on schedule. There's something wrong with that story. All these people want are the real answers. Give us the real answers, because so much depends on it.
Staying with schools, a new pilot project aims to provide students with more emotional support and relieve some of the burden on teachers. As Here and Now's Arlette Lazarenko reports, the teachers' union says the project could also keep more students in the classroom.
6 schools in the province are starting September with a new staff member, someone tasked with a very specific role to support the emotional and social needs of students and hopefully improve school safety overall.
Student services, teaching and learning assistants. They're going to be part of the student services delivery team. They'll work very closely with the guidance and industrial resource teachers. And they'll be making connections with students and fostering behavioral management skills.
Hall hopes that one-on-one time will help students better engage and create a more respectful school. Half of the pilot project will be in St. John's schools, with another in Bonavista Bay, one on the West Coast, and another in Labrador.
Teaching is totally a relationships type industry that we're into. If you have a strong relationship with a child, you're much better likely to have some success.
According to the Teachers Union, violence is up a lot, 40% last year alone. It says there are as many as 30 instances of violence happening daily in schools across the province. But these assistants won't just be engaging with those who misbehave. A student struggling with anxiety, for example, this new staff member might help them regulate their emotions in another room before returning to the classroom. Hall says this responsibility has rested with teachers, and the union is eager for the added support.
Right now with teacher shortages and right now with substitute teacher shortages, if we can have a steady, consistent person, because many times with student assistants and so on, which is a different entity than TLAs, many times it's not the same person that's coming in when there's a sub. So to have a consistent face with a lot of these children is very important. And depending on the diagnosis, it could be the difference in them coming to school each day.
Langdon says this alone won't solve the problem of growing violence, but it's a step in the right direction. The department says it will measure the pilot's success by the end of the year after consulting with school staff and students. Arlette Lazarenko, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, there were lots of little ones with big feelings on this first day of school. Our cameras caught some lovely scenes at schools in St. John's and Mount Pearl earlier today, and we asked some grade 6 students to give us a lesson in how to handle those first day jitters.
On the count of 3, guys, you're going to wish everybody a happy first day of school, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Happy first day of school!
How do you feel about the first day of school today?
I couldn't sleep last night.
I'm nervous.
I felt nervous and excited.
It's brand new. It's brand new for everybody. Everybody's got their new outfits and their book bags, and everybody's just excited to be back to school.
Did you like the first day of school as much when you were kids?
Yes, I love school. That's why I'm a teacher.
Of course, I was going to say.
Yeah, I also really liked school as well, yeah. Especially getting back to see your friends after all summer, for sure.
And any words of wisdom to students who may be a little nervous or it's their first year at a new school?
Everybody's feeling the same way. Everybody's a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, and that's okay, because if we weren't feeling like that, we wouldn't try new things. So Newtown is an amazing school, and you're going to have a great year. And whatever school you're at, you're going to have a great year.
What's your advice to somebody who's nervous for the first day of grade 5? You just graduated, so you're the experts. What's your advice?
There's nothing to be nervous about because every teacher's nice and kind, so nothing to be worried about.
Just don't be nervous, because it'll be okay.
It can be daunting, to the list of things, whether it's what funding can you access or what's your path to commercialization.
Well, coming up, a big new space in St. John's wants to help some growing tech companies bloom.
Well, temperatures today a little cooler, but they are going to warm up, especially as we head towards the weekend. We'll get into all the forecast details coming up.
Ashley, it was a lovely day as so many kiddos went back to school. Lots of sunshine, a little bit breezy, a little bit chilly, but overall very nice.
It was really decent. I like the sunshine and I like these cooler temperatures as well. Pretty lovely out there. Let's take a look at the temperatures across the board. So, I mean, we still reached the low 20s. Badger, Grand Falls, Windsor area reaching 21 degrees, 20 in Twillingate. Otherwise, really the upper teens, the story across the island. St. Lawrence topped 20 degrees as well. And most of Labrador are sitting in the mid to upper teens at the moment. And these temperatures are just going to get warmer as we head through the next couple of days, which will be nice. For now, there's not a whole lot going on at the moment, but some showers did develop this afternoon. Spotty showers, very isolated in nature. But if I zoom in a little bit there, you can see that they are starting to taper off now. You may see a few sprinkles in Bay Roberts over the next couple of minutes, but other than that, really nothing. A beautiful day, still a beautiful evening as well. Temperatures in the upper teens right now, 17 degrees in St. John's, and still sitting between 15 and 18 degrees up across Labrador. And as we head through tonight, it is going to be chilly. We're talking about the potential we're talking about clear skies tonight, and the first frost advisory has been issued this season. And so that just means if you're in low-lying areas and you have some frost-sensitive plants, you're definitely going to want to cover those up if you want to save them for tonight. But other than that, temperatures won't be too cold, but we could be nearing between 2 or 3 degrees overnight, especially in those low-lying areas, so keep that in mind. As far as the weather goes for the overnight period, generally quiet. We may see some, or we will see some cloud cover move in, and the potential for some showers as we get into the early morning hours for Lab West. But overall, your temperatures will be sitting up across Labrador anyway from 10 to 14 degrees. And again, single digits the story. Low-lying areas likely closer to 3 or 4 degrees as your overnight lows. And winds will be a little brisk out of the southwest, anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, pretty much across the board. As we head into tomorrow, it is going to be another lovely day with a ridge of high pressure dominating the weather picture. That means most of us will be seeing some sunshine, with the exception of Labrador. There's an area of low pressure to the north that may spark some showers as we head through the day, particularly for the north coast. Other than that, just cloudy periods through the afternoon. Southerly flow, winds will be a bit brisk again tomorrow for most of Labrador, west coast of the island, east coast of the island looking pretty decent, though we won't see much wind associated with this through the day at all. But overall, just staying with those cloudy periods as we head into the evening hours, and then again through the overnight, especially for the northern peninsula. But as a ridge of high pressure dominates, that means we're not really seeing a whole lot in the way of weather for the next couple of days, really, as we head through the weekend. So temperatures tomorrow are going to sit in the 20s, low 20s, upper teens, though, as you for the southern areas of the island, with winds anywhere from 10 to 15 kilometers per hour, like I mentioned. As you head towards central, temperatures getting a little warmer, but onshore flow is going to keep temperatures cooler, though, along the south coast of the island. 16 degrees for Harbour Breton, otherwise anywhere from 22 to 24 degrees through the day. Same thing as you head towards the west coast, although a little warmer. Your winds are going to be a bit more brisk, southwesterlies between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. And we are looking at a similar temperature for the northern peninsula, sitting under that ridge of high pressure. Temperatures between 17 to 23 degrees, and warmer still up across Labrador. Really very unusual for this time of year, or above seasonable for this time of year, I should say. Southwesterlies will be gusting between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour through the afternoon. And then for Labrador, other than the chance of a few scattered showers here and there, we're really not looking at a whole lot going on, with temperatures around the 20s and your winds out of the southwest around 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. So that's it really for the long range, or for the forecast. The long range forecast looks pretty decent. Still looking at some sunshine. There is some rain on the way as we head towards the beginning of next week, but I'll get into that forecast when I come back.
Great. Thanks so much, Ashley. Well, the former Rona building in the east end of St. John's has undergone a major makeover. It's now a business hub called Co-Innovation Center, offering 50,000 square feet of space for growing businesses to build connections.
Co-Innovation Center is really meant to be a physical space for businesses across all industries to come together, to work together, to learn from each other, and to kind of experience and what others are doing across the province related to innovation, just really problem solving, finding new ways to do things. I like to think of the space as unique. There's definitely a lot of models that we've explored, but because this is not for the startup community, it's really for established and growing businesses, it's kind of unique in that way. So we're trying to keep a fresh approach to how we set this up, and really working with the businesses, the community, to find what is needed and to fill like that gap. We're not reinventing the wheel. We have a lot of businesses doing great work here, so what we can do is partner with them, give them space, figure out what their needs needs are and enhance what they're already doing. We have Tech N.L. ERI&L has already moved into their offices here, and we also have Atlantic XL's their additive manufacturing facility is on site, so Additive XL, and their team is on site to be able to do anything from fabrication to custom design, and we have a 3D printer that they've set up and they run. And we also have a light industrial space, and what we're really excited to be able to do is fit that up for businesses and their needs, and also create an installation demonstration space. So businesses that are across the province that may not always have the visibility or the space to showcase what they're doing, we're looking to work with them to be able to be that space.
So right now we're up at the Co-Innovation Center up on Torbay Road, and we're in our cafe space. I think the partnership piece is mutually beneficial. So the Innovation Center has a built-in, work base that's here, which is also kind of a built-in audience for ourselves and customers that are going to be in and out of here every morning. So we figured it's nice to partner up with this amazing new space and have a bit of a head start in terms of knowing how many people are going to be in and out. And then there's also kind of not much up in this part of town that serves third wave coffee, like single origin coffees. So yeah, we're excited to kind of fill that little nook.
This province is already doing really world-leading work, and we want people to know that the companies that are operating here are innovating, and they're innovating at the cutting edge, at the edge of North America, and we're really excited to help support them and tell those stories.
I've been thinking a lot about how much the potential impact to discourage people to report these kinds of crimes, and that's really sad, and it's also quite scary, and I really feel like that's been my overwhelming concern.
Well, the ripple effect of granting former police officer Doug Snellgrove parole. I'll speak with the St. John's Women's Advocacy Group. That's coming up next. And you're looking at a live shot of the Parkway here outside our station in St. John's. It's a beautiful evening out there, certainly getting darker earlier now. Sunset is 7:34 in the east. Stay with us. We'll have more local news and weather on the way. We'll also take you to South Dildo to visit a business that brings comfort to the great outdoors with their glamping suites. That's coming up.
Hi, I'm Adam Walsh, host and producer of The Signal. School is back, and with it calls for folks to pay more attention on the roads and for them to slow down. So here's my question for you. What do you think about road safety in this province? Should we build better drivers, build better roads? Neither? Both? I want your input on this tomorrow on The Signal, just after the noon news on the island, half an hour earlier in Labrador.
A St. John's Women's Advocacy Group says the decision to grant Doug Snellgrove parole may discourage sexual assault victims from reporting the crime. The former RNC officer was released from prison last month to serve the remainder of his sentence at home with his wife. In total, Snellgrove served about a quarter of his nearly 4-year sentence behind bars. I asked Lisa Fay of the St. John's Status of Women Council for her reaction to the release.
I really felt, as just like a person in our community, disappointed. I've been feeling and thinking a lot about the message it sends to women in our community, to vulnerable people in our community, about the efficacy of our justice system. I've been thinking a lot about how much the potential impact to discourage people to report these kinds of crimes, and that's really sad, and it's also quite scary. And I really feel like that's been my overwhelming concern. And I'm also thinking about Jane Doe. And thinking about Snellgrove at home and comfortable, and thinking about how she must be feeling right now.
What do you think about when you think about Jane Doe right now and how she may be feeling or how she may be reacting to this news?
I think about her bravery. I think about the community organizations that have stood up to support her. I think about a day that we had here where folks came in and they wrote letters to her, because so many people feel her story and have experienced that violence. In the midst of all this discussion about Snell Grove, and as much as it's important that we remember who he is and the terrible, terrible act that he committed, let's remember Jane Doe and what she's doing right now and where she is and how all of this is affecting her. She's really the person that I want us to remember even more than we remember him.
It's not uncommon for inmates to get parole. It's kind of what happens in the justice system. We don't always hear about it, but parole boards often will release someone on parole for good behavior. What do you think should have been different in this case for justice to be served in your view?
The biggest thing for me is really the timeline. So even when you look at the timeline in which this perpetrator spent time in prison, it was so in such small segments, and it was in such a way that it didn't, the harm was decreased for them, whereas the harm for the victim of the crime is real and ongoing. And this can't feel like justice. If one person receives this early parole and receives these shorter segments of time in prison, and the other person, since the sexual assault has happened, has been in an ongoing state of managing trauma, it just cannot feel just. I understand that parole is something that happens, and I understand that it is part of the system that we currently have, but the system we currently have does not work. It's interesting, to some degree my view is probably the least important, but we do speak to people every day who are affected by this system firsthand. And what they're saying is that they want alternatives to the current access to justice, which to them doesn't feel like justice. They want to have new ways of accessing the system. They want to have new ways of presenting evidence. They want, if they choose the option of actually laying charges or trying to see this person see justice, they want to see new ways of that looking, and not like the justice system that has led to so much re-traumatization for people. It's not working, and it's causing so much harm. There really has to be new ways of working your way through the system.
This has been such a big court case in this province, and it's been ongoing for a really long time, 10 years. Mm-hmm. What kind of footprint has it left in this province, do you think? What kind of lasting effect do you think this case may have?
When the search for justice happens over such a long period, it just becomes really hard for people to believe that people with positions of authority can be held accountable, especially when those systems are so linked to each other. So the justice system and the RNC are linked. And in this case, it just feels that justice was not served. And so the distrust in the system as a whole increases. I hope that everyone who has been a victim or a survivor of gender-based violence knows that there is help out there. I know that Jane Doe has likely reached out to many sources of help, and I'm really glad about that. But I also want everyone else to know that there's free counseling at the Women's Centre. The Journey Project can help you with legal services around sexual assault and sexual violence. There are resources out there and ways to speak to people. You deserve to have that support. And we hope that people who are surviving this know that they can reach out, and that there are people who are there to listen and who believe them.
Lisa Fay, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
Well, you don't like the idea of roughing it in the great outdoors? Well, this business in South Dildo has some glamping cottages to give you the comforts of home while you're out in nature. We'll take you inside coming up. As we reported earlier, the federal NDP surprised Justin Trudeau today by pulling support for the Liberal government. The party dropped that bomb while the Prime Minister was here in Rocky Harbour to announce a deal with Newfoundland and Labrador to help pay for a school lunch program. It's worth $9 million over 3 years, and that money will help 58 schools across the province get a lunch program, giving thousands of students better access to food at school.
Right now, as we're seeing the school year start, we know that being there to make sure that no kids are going hungry, make sure that kids have access to good, high-quality food in their schools is both important for them and their learning. I know that as a teacher. I know that as a parent. But I also know that it's something that takes pressure off of grocery prices. The school food program that we're rolling out across the country as provinces sign on is expected to save hundreds of dollars, up to $800 for a family with 2 kids across the country, and that's going to make a real difference at a time where prices are high and people are squeezed. The fact that we're able to announce this first in Newfoundland is really a testament to the work that Premier Furey has done in putting kids first and making those investments that are going to support people right across Newfoundland and Labrador. We're talking about thousands of kids who are going to have access to school food across the province. And indeed, as we continue to sign with provinces across the country, more and more kids from coast to coast to coast. There's a number of provinces ready to sign on next. We're hoping Manitoba and Lawrence Macaulay's home of PEI are going to be the next 2 provinces, but Ontario's working well and others are coming on board. But we do want to put pressure on all provinces to step up and deliver for those organizations that are already delivering school food programs across school districts, in schools across their provinces that could use the money that the federal government has put on the table to make sure that no kids are going hungry, that kids can concentrate in class. This is something that is basic and important, and it's something that we're getting behind.
Well, staying with this story, Justin Trudeau's minority government has counted on the NDP to remain in power, but as we've been reporting today, the federal NDP has ended its agreement. The CBC's Ashley Burke looks at why leader Jagmeet Singh is pulling the plug now and what it could mean for election timing.
The Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests.
A new campaign-style video announcing a very public political breakup.
Today, I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement.
Through that agreement, the NDP propped up the Liberal government for almost 2.5 years in return for commitments on NDP priorities like dental and pharmacare. But Jagmeet Singh says the deal is dead.
The Liberals have let people down. They don't deserve another chance.
We want to send a clear message to Justin Trudeau.
Last month, Singh joined locked-out rail workers on the picket line and slammed the government for intervening and forcing arbitration. The NDP said that issue is just one example why it scrapped the deal with Justin Trudeau.
I'm focused on Canadians. I'll let the other parties focus on politics.
Trudeau faced questions about what it all means and if it's time for an election.
An election will come in the coming year, hopefully not till next fall, because in the meantime, we're going to deliver for Canadians, and the contrast with a Conservative leader that wants to cut dental care, cut the school food program.
The Conservatives leader called the NDP's move a stunt and challenged Singh to vote with him.
So my message to sellout Singh is this. If you're serious about ending your costly carbon tax coalition with Trudeau, then commit today to voting for a carbon tax election.
The end of this deal doesn't trigger an automatic, immediate election. The Liberals can negotiate on a case-by-case basis with the NDP if they will support them on votes, or also turn to other parties to try and keep themselves in power. No matter what, there has to be an election by next fall, and now that could happen even sooner. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, it was double gold for Canada today at the Paralympic Games, with one captured in the pool and the other on the athletics field.
16.75 Paralympic best records.
Like something out of Game of Thrones or Gladiator, depending on your age. That's shot putter Greg Stewart from Kamloops, BC, hanging on to his Paralympic title. He also won men's shot put gold in Tokyo. This time, Stewart threw a season best of 16.38 meters to claim his spot at the top of the podium. The 7'2" athlete came out of retirement for Paris because he wanted to compete in front of a crowd. Is tall. Wow. Well, heat and the severe drought in Greece have caused the Mornos Reservoir to partially dry up. And that's revealing the ruins of a village. It was evacuated and deliberately flooded more than 4 decades ago to create a lake to supply water to Athens. The village of Kallio was once home to about 80 families. It had houses, a church, and a school. This is the second time the village has been seen since it was abandoned. Officials say water levels in parts of Greece are down this summer by about 1/3. Stay with us. Ashley has your forecast just ahead.
Play no games. Ha, I'm in my bag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you? I don't play no games. Ha, you know my name.
Well, if you love the idea of camping in the great outdoors but don't want to give up the comforts of home, glamping may be an option for you. A business in South Dildo offers glamping suites plus some culinary delights at its farm-to-table restaurant, the Barn Cafe. I visited the area for a tour with the very busy owner, Nancy Snow. Have a look.
We have South Dildo Park, which is glamping suites. So we call it South Dildo Park Glamping Suites. And the idea of glamping is glamorized camping. Set up kind of like a hotel room inside, but you wouldn't do any cooking inside. So you would cook out on your deck.
And there's like a shower and stuff?
Yes, so they're all heated for the winter time because we keep them open in the winter as well. Stand-up shower, ensuite washroom, and 3 of the units are pet friendly.
There's also a restaurant here. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, so we have a restaurant, the Barn Cafe. So we kind of started off as thinking, you know, cafe style, just like soup, sandwiches, salads type of thing. But now we're into like dining in the evening as well. So inside it holds about 30 people and then we get about 25 on the deck.
And it's a farm-to-table situation. Can you describe your approach to the food and stuff here?
We start everything mainly in the greenhouses that we have here, mostly focusing on the vegetables that we would serve on the plates in the cafe. So once it comes out of the greenhouse, we transplant it up in our garden, and then we serve it on your plates as it harvests from the garden. We bought this property back in 2006. It was a fox and mink farm owned by a man, Gord Tweed. So the barns actually did hold animals. There was a bunch of cages and stuff everywhere when we bought it. We bought it for a summer home that we would take our daughters to, and we would come out here on weekends with the idea eventually to do something with the property for, you know, to move out here full time. So 2017, we moved out here full time and didn't really know where we were going with it, but ended up researching glamping, which was really popular like in the UK. And it just kind of started there and then escalated into the cafe, which went to, you know, the greenhouse, doing the farm to table, and then growing our own flowers that we transplanted around as well. We started the suite September of 2020, and the cafe opened in June of 2022. So we've been kind of building on ever since. Yeah.
And you're still working on the property and developing the property in different ways?
Correct. You know, we have some plans for the future, nothing in the near future, but in the future we do plan on doing some more development around. There's a path that goes around the perimeter of the property, but in between all that, we're just putting in some private, like little hiking trails where people can kind of just go and get out of the sun, or just, you know, sit on a picnic bench and kind of chill out for a few minutes, take their dog for a walk, you know, so they're not constantly out in the heat.
Who is your target customer here? Like, what kind of people are you hoping to attract?
Most people, you know, there's a lot of people that have said to me like, oh, I don't like camping, but this is my idea of camping, you know, it's glamorous, you know, you get to sit out on your deck and have your glass of wine and, you know, not have to be like, you know, have the same things that you would be doing, I guess, when you were camping, which would be roughing it, I guess you could say, right?
What an interesting thing they have going on out there, for sure, because a lot of business are just, you know, just do accommodations or just do a restaurant, but they have the glamping and the greenhouse and the farm and the cafe. So
the farm to table is very interesting. I like that concept.
Yeah, the food looked really nice, and they have a huge property with some hiking trails, and it's pet friendly, so you can bring your dog. I sound like an ad
That's
here,
the
but
best there.
it's kind of it was nice. I really appreciate Nancy showing me around. It was a nice visit out to South Dildo on that day. Okay, so and some nice days coming for us as well. More sunshine on the way, which is great.
Yeah, a little bit of unsettled weather as we head towards the weekend, but until we get there, it's going to be pretty lovely. Let's start with tomorrow one more time just to show you. So temperatures will be in the low 20s for most of the island, up across Labrador, starting to get into the mid-20s, so 25 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Cartwright. Otherwise, some showers possible for the northern portion of Labrador, at least the north coast, through the morning. And again, some breezy winds as well. Those southwesterlies will be gusting anywhere from about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. Not so much in the east, though. It's actually going to be a pretty decent day as far as that wind goes. As we head into Thursday evening and then into Friday, we are looking at the chance of showers again for the western portion of Labrador, and maybe a few showers towards the southeast. Other than that, just some cloud cover will move into the evening hours across the island. But another beautiful day. This is when temperatures really start to warm up, especially through central, 27 degrees. So we're looking at those mid to upper 20s for most of us, except along the south coast, still staying in the low 20s, but a beautiful day. And then back down, pretty chilly for northern portions of Labrador. You'll be sitting around 9 degrees, otherwise hanging on to that heat, 23 to 26 degrees across Labrador through the day on Friday. Into Saturday, that cloud cover will move in. Like I said, some cloudy periods expected, but we're also looking at the chances of some showers, especially again up across northern portions of Labrador, then late day for the southwestern portion of the island. You're looking at that chance of showers. But until we get there, it will be a decent day. Just like I said, cloudy periods through the afternoon. Temperatures a little cooler, though, only in the low 20s, but still a beautiful day. And same thing across Labrador, single digits again for the north coast. But otherwise, you'll be into the mid to upper 20s yet again across a good chunk of Labrador. As we take a look at the long-range forecast, temperatures will start to cool as we get into Sunday, down to 19 degrees, rebounding a degree by the time we get into Monday, but things will get a little bit more unsettled. So we are looking at the chances and periods of rain through the day for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. Now that will arrive a little earlier for central Newfoundland, where you are looking at some showers on Sunday and then periods of rain continuing as we get into Monday. Overall daytime highs between 21 to 22 degrees. And then for western Newfoundland, you're also looking at teens for Sunday. A little bit more cloud cover, better chance of showers, but again, they'll arrive late on Saturday. And then by Monday, you're looking at periods of rain at about 23 degrees. Labrador, beautiful stretch of weather until we get into Sunday, and then showers will return. You're looking at that through Monday. Same thing for western Labrador, with your overnight lows dipping into the single digits by the time we get to the end of the weekend, or beginning of next week, I should say. Our weather photo of the day is a lovely shot of a pretty big rainbow there over Sandy Cove. Jill shared this great shot. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful photo. Thank you so much for that. If you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, you can do that by emailing them to nlphotos@cbc.ca or sending them to my Facebook page there.
Oh, I love rainbow photos. Thank you so much for that, Jill. And actually, it sounds like everyone should try to get out on Saturday to enjoy that nice. It seems like everyone will have a beautiful Saturday.
Beautiful Saturday.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. And I mentioned earlier that we're extra late tonight because we were preempted by the women's wheelchair basketball games in Paris. Once more, congratulations to Team Canada. They beat out Germany 71-53.
Yeah, and it was another gold medal day for Nicholas Bennett in the pool. We told you about the 20-year-old swimmer's gold medal moment yesterday on the show. And today makes 2.
Yes, and we hope to be back tomorrow evening with you, with your local news and weather at 6:30 Island time, a half hour earlier in most parts of Labrador, unless, of course, the games go overtime again. But thank you so much for rolling with it. Appreciate your patience. Good night.